Niaje wa Kenya wenzangu kutoka mbali. My name is Juliani. I'm a hip hop artist, and I really have a passion for community and people as a whole. And I'm really thankful to be here, to be invited to speak, and to share my thoughts. Maybe a little bit about myself in detail. I grew up in the Eastlands part of Nairobi. It's called Dandora, and Dandora, of course, was known for the wrong reasons. One of them being 2 tons of trash end up there every day, and I think it has extended to more. Um, we're known for crime, but at least it has reduced nowadays. We're known for a lot of things for the wrong reasons, but that's where I called home when I was growing up as a young man. And we had different ways we were being told for us to get out of that situation. There are different things we were being told to do. Either you go to school and become number one. Okay, I never made it to become number one, but the people that became number one, nothing came out of it when we saw their life and how everything went out. They became number one and get back and got good grades and got back home. We were told you have to be good in sports. And same people went, sportsmen went to Norway, they came home with tracksuits looking good through Maisa. And after a while, they end up in the same place that we were in. And as I was growing old, I was being told, oh, for you to be heard or to be seen, you have to behave a certain way. You have to always carry yourself a certain way. And the people that we saw carrying themselves that way ended up the same place that we are in. And of course, the more I'm exposed to the world, IMF comes and tells us that I need $1. Like I'm living in poverty because we're living under the dollar. And in a dollar, it basically is like, right now it's like 112 shillings or something. And 112 shillings can do a lot in Andorra specifically. You can eat in a day, you can get a lot of things done. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that I started questioning my definition of things. So definition of where you've called a slum or an insecure place, I call it home. When you go to Kilimani and you look at all the high rises and you see clothesline filled with clothes and everybody just, of course, putting their clothes outside. In another setting, people say that's ushamba, for lack of, I don't know the right English word for that. Or they say it is being unkept or ghettoness or whatever. But if you look at the context of Kenya specifically or Africa, it's easier for you to put your clothes outside because it will dry faster than having a dryer in the house. Because a dryer in the house consumes electricity, so you get it. So we were always forced to behave a certain way as a people. And I feel like we always see ourselves from other people's eyes. We never see ourselves from our eyes and where we come from and what we have. And I'll give an example about when there's some time back I traveled to Norway. It was a December and it was so cold. Of course, I took the heaviest jacket I could from Kenya to there and it didn't do nothing. So I kind of got lost from where I was going and I was asking people for direction and nobody actually, even some people, actually nobody stopped to even give me direction and people acted a certain way. And back then I didn't know what was happening. One old man actually was speaking Swahili and he gave me direction and I found myself where I was. And I felt so lonely when I was in Norway for like a week or two. And then when I got home, and in Norway, everything was, the train came on time, everything was exactly where it's supposed to be. And then I came back in Nairobi and I was driving from the airport to home. And then I realized that I actually like the chaos. Like I like people everywhere. I like the matatus. I like everything.
Traffic jam on Mombasa Road.
The
traffic jam on Mombasa Road.
The traffic on somehow it made sense and I really loved it. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm being told all my life that I'm supposed to be like this, to be civilized or to be ahead or to be globalized, or everybody's always telling us as African what we need to be. And I'm not saying the chaos is what exactly is supposed to be, but what came to mind at that particular time. And I maybe as an artist, creativity basically is not creating anything new. Creativity is taking the old to create something new or to create a new product. And I felt like as Africans and as Kenyans, and COVID helped us present this case where we expected people to be dropping dead like flies on the streets. And what we saw mostly is people hugging and actually being happy that finally they're in the streets. The kids are so happy they're playing football with their friends and everything. And we never died the way we were expected to die. And I was like, how are we looking at ourselves every time as Africans when we go to a space? So we come to a table like this. Do we see ourselves from the people's eyes? Do we see ourselves from our own eyes? And do we see solutions from what we have, not from what we don't have or the standards that we're trying to do? So even democracy in itself, and allow me to go a little bit philosophy around this. Democracy, we were told that this is how to be democratic, and this is how to be all this, and this is how to be. And then when you watch on TV, we see another world that we've been shown through Hollywood and how it looks dismantling in our face. And I'm not saying everybody has their own problems. I'm not saying that we should be perfect, but I'm just saying that the West and everybody in the first world, the way they call themselves, went ahead, and we see what didn't work and we see what can work. So it's up to us as Africans basically to sit down and say, what do we have? What can we use as lessons from those people? And how can we leapfrog? Because we are the only ones who have the possibility of leapfrogging, because we are not, everything is not rigid. Our M-Pesa you can create a business in Kenya and it succeeds, as long as you go and hawk it in the streets and stuff like that. But in another setting, you have to go through certain bureaucracies and stuff like that. We are the only ones who can create new cities and even have necessary. So as I do this, is that I feel like for our intervention and how we're going to engage in moving forward and creating this circular economy and everything we want, we first have to be people-centered. And we have to realize that the definition we have of change is not the same definition that Amamamboga have of change, me as Juliani have of change, or Katrine has of change. Probably for me, just having a house and a backyard and a white dog to pass every day, that's change for me, and that's all I need. To somebody else, it can be going up the mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro or something, and coming back. For them, that's what. And some people basically is political. So we can't leave anybody behind. We have to work with everybody, and we have to understand that we're all different and we all come from different backgrounds. So we have to be people-centered. And the second thing is basically we don't have monopoly of truth. And this I've learned as a young Kenyan and as an artist and as somebody who has community projects. When we were setting up my community projects in Dandora, I always thought, since I grew up in that setting, but coming up from outside and I left, and now coming back to help, to be a savior, in quotes, I realized that these people are more equipped. They know all this. The only thing they need is space for them to become and to do stuff and to belong. So we don't have a monopoly of truth. Just because you're ahead or you went ahead doesn't mean, just because I'm slow in class and did get the grades right, it doesn't mean that I'm not a bright person. I have trauma on that, so allow me to share that. And the last thing for me is we have to be aware of our mortality. And I feel like all our solutions have always been about immediate solutions and based on our governments. Our governments are all structured around 5 years and 5 years and 5 years. So everything we always look in the turnaround of 5 years. And I feel like, and this is my personal conviction basically, is that for me, I have to look at the world beyond my existence. And it means after I die, and it doesn't have to be all because of my kids and I want to live a better world for my kids. No, it's just I need to create a world and to be patient enough with people, with myself and the world around me to build something that will live beyond. And that's what, of course, the first world has done so far. Or you can see in the infrastructure and how they've done things. They thought ahead. So I think that Africans, we need to be aware of mortality and use that as a basis to create the future. basically, to finish off this, we're in a group, some group, we are trying to figure out the scenarios of 20 years from now, Kenya. Sitting down and trying to figure out, and looking at, oh, how will security look like? How will health look like? How will all this look like? And then I realized that every time we talk about the future, we always use, we don't tap into the traditional way of how we used to do things as Africans. And I'm not saying how everybody's doing things right now doesn't work. There's some that work, but traditionally, our medicine came from shamba. Our food came from shamba. We didn't need a fridge. We didn't need a fridge to be in the house to eat fresh food. We just need to go to a backyard, pluck a few things, and come back and cook. We lived in a sustainable way, but we got to a place where we didn't have self-esteem around what we had as a people. So we have to be creative. Basically, use what has worked for other people, take pieces of what can work for us with what we have in our hands, and create the future that we all want and all are looking forward for our children and for ourselves. Okay, I was not supposed to say for our children, but for us to reimagine that future, we have to start from where we are, and we have to meet people from where they are. We can't always see people from our point of view. And kama ina make sense kizungu yangu Tony Ndungu, nashukuru sana, and nashukuru sana for wazito that I get to share my thoughts on this forum. Asante, Mungu abariki. And finally, we have a project called Taka Bank. It's a waste management program, and it's one of the, when we started it some years ago, I got invited by Facebook to go and speak. And Tommy know about it in New York. And we had a meeting with Diangelo, Coke, Walmart, all these guys were there. It was so funny how it was easy for people from outside to understand what needs to be done than the people who are inside the country. Our old people and our leaders and the people that we look up to only focus on Mogonda as a way of investment and literally not trusting and holding the young people's hands to move forward. So that's just a challenge for everybody, because I know people have so much to share. If I sit down with Caro, I can get a lot to share. I can pronounce the name. I can't pronounce the names of all the other guys who are there, the ambassador and you. So I'm sorry. Let me just say, all you people who, is that you have so much to share to us. You have gone through generations and you see what works and doesn't work. It's high time we hold hands. Sometimes you just need to hold hands, and your pockets also, but we need to hold hands and we need to move forward and to create and take risks and try until we figure out something out. So nashukuru sana, Mungu awabariki.